I greet you, sisters and brothers in the Incarnation. I also obviously met the Incarnation, and my last life was guided by the fact of giving them, through innumerable conferences, unknown data of what was called the Christian Hermeticism. But no matter, today, that I accepted express myself among you in these times earth, not to transmit teachings or stories about the earth, but to draw your attention to what is played today on their position in life. I will return just one element of my last life. I spent my time to unravel, through symbols and history, the incessant fighting which was held between good and evil. I left, even my life. Today, as you live and who have to live in this period, good and evil, somehow they never have been so apparent and obvious. I've been trying to make them learn what may represent today the trap of good and evil. This part of a very simple fact, that finding is exacerbated today. It is precisely the good and evil. And as thirst for truth, in your vibration and your consciousness, were communicated to them, over the years, numerous historical and previous elements to the Christian era, concerning the earth's confinement, breaking with the truth. The pursuit of the good, the pursuit of love was a key spiritual goal in all traditions, but that does not allow them, ever overcome the last confinement layer, which is to say, as they have been extensively discussed in all these years, that neither good nor evil will allow you out of the illusion of this world. The well should not be pursued as an ideal or as a way to improve their lot or this world, even though well aware that, in the circumstances until recently this world, the most important, of course, was good. Now, as you realize today, on earth, the more the release fulfills her work, which was named the evil seems more intense. There is therefore a form of heart expansion, which gives access to the beautiful, the good and the love which is accompanied, as you see it, collectively, of things that appear on the screen of your consciousness increasingly strong in both the evil and the good. Remember that I lost my life because, as some Eastern teachings tell us, do not solve the problem of evil fighting evil, but by growing good, and no good can oppose evil. The good grows by itself, putting an end to evil. Today, when the whole of which they were hidden, the living process of revelation, is revealed every day a little more, it can be very tempting to enter the reaction in the fight or the fight against the confined, both in their beliefs as in world history. The strategies applied until today, the Earth Liberation Plan, is certainly the case that gave on the whole confined solar systems, maximum results, and that through the vision of what is good and what is evil, both you like on the outside, but above all, surpassing all duality present on the surface of this world, not fighting, not opposing it, but much more, by growing the light and love. In these troubled times of revelation, which open to you this year, concerning you, individually and collectively, and perhaps more than before, the light and his intelligence asks them, by the grace of action and state of grace, to grow a light. For this there is perhaps to reconfigure, if I may say, both their conceptions and perceptions concerning the good and evil. Good and evil are the inevitable expression of a world of third dimension disassociated, and this game, as you know, is endless, because everything that you will oppose, even the truth of Christ present in you, will strengthen if the usual reactions of this world, especially in this particular phase. I come, therefore, invite them to not play, anyway, the past mistakes, not necessarily his, but the past mistakes of mankind. The well does not fight, ever, evil, otherwise it strengthens evil, and unfolds itself, the specific conditions of the earth and its state of being at that time. Of course, the intelligence and the lighting of light will give them to do, more precisely, both deviations as deviation of society and of each brother and sister may also exist, asleep, awake or released. This is not a fight, it is much more, a surrender of the fatuity of this fight and bad, in short, only allow the duality always manifest. How long they have been taught by the Archangel Anael, during the year of the heavenly honeymoon, unity cannot result from the duality. The unit can be lived within, but cannot, ever, appear entirely, as a rule of life, as a social rule, as experience rule in a world named disassociated, because there is no ability to see beyond the game, even in the consciousness the purest, and you certainly have the opportunity, in your life during those years drained, noting, for themselves, the results of this fight, which will only enhance the mental, enhance the excitement and drive them the silence that just tell them Master Ram. The well will not, ever, opposition to evil, but the good is necessary as evidence that increases good. Make it grow does not mean to act in one direction or the other, but, much more, be available for the light. The circumstances of the early 20th century are profoundly different experiences of the early 21st century, even if what is given to see seems to be humanity's immersion in the dark age, named by our Eastern brothers Kali Yuga. What you are living only the last convulsions of duality and agony, both in you and in all social structure, as in every interaction in this world. Christ said, "Let the dead bury the dead, and follow me." He said also, "Are you ready to lose everything?" This is what is asked them to light today. Do you accept the sacrifice, and that, towards the noblest and highest, of your life down here, for your eternal life? There is, somehow, the only fighting that currently lives. He is not in the wars and conflicts that you see, but he throws at you and asks for nothing more than his surrender and his sacrifice. Whether you appoint the Christ, the light or the source, or the name of an archangel, nothing changes. Just when you gave yourself entirely, it is that everything is given. As you count what they give, the light cannot be whole. Earth current times call us, certainly, to see everywhere, which seems to be the battle between the residual predation archaic forces, existing in each of us, when we are incarnate, and the new. This new, the unknown was named because it corresponds to anything similar or overlapping with life in this world. As you know, or how they perceive, or perhaps live in, the ego, the person cannot, ever, accept his own death, because there will always condition away in the duality, the survival reflex, reflects the perpetuation of the species with an improvement dream of a better world. I suppose you are extremely numerous and increasingly numerous to see the futility of this spiritual diligence and his utopia. There is no other way than the heart. All knowledge, even the most comprehensive it is, as they explained, there too long, archangel to feel before the heavenly honeymoon, is today obsolete and, I would say, even laughable to the one who sees clearly and is no longer registered, therefore, a person or a story. The most difficult for the brothers and sisters who are in a spiritual diligence, I put in quotes, long ago. They are given also to live moments of love that nothing can explain, nor causality nor in its purpose. It is the spontaneity of the grace that is given to them to live with different amplitudes at different frequencies, but the key is there is no other. Is the famous straight gate. It, too, of him coming that will come as a thief in the night, and you live to an ever greater number of you, as his disappearance or his love, to them falls over, regardless of any subject, any object and any cause. Here is the truth, there is no other. All that can be explained, all that can be understood, all that can be known has nothing to do with the light. It is not a stray light, named the Luciferian principle. The mission of the Archangel Michael, which is now completed, was to enable the purity of principle Christic emerge from you, coming from you, that robs the last veils, the last illusions of past beliefs. In the last battle of the apocalypse, which plays both in his body and the surface of this world, called, in the Bible, the battle of Megiddo or all against all, you will be called by the light as the society, as so it can remain in you, resistors or locks, to participate in one way or another, this conflict that plays out, once again, within themselves, as is the case in face-to-face, in its final stage as is the case in countries of the world. It is in this struggle that many of you will discover the futility and uselessness, even this fight. You cannot and will not, of course, less and less, to overcome this fight. The gain or lose, in fact, nothing to serve as you have not met in heart in your eternity. And to be in the inner silence, spontaneity, humility, simplicity, no Eucharist, they will show clearly the futility, the uselessness, and I would even say, the destructive side of those fighting for good or worse. They are just two sides of the same coin called illusion. The circumstances of light on the surface of this world, in full disclosure, will induce, brutally in you, updating the left to light. Keep this in mind, that you cannot fight against themselves, or against any of his brothers and sisters, even in behavior that you can qualify more opposite to the light, or more contemptible. You can only encompass it, just love it. This is the only true way to be good without thinking of evil, because all evil, seen, can only be present in you because it is seen abroad. The containment force is the Luciferian principle abused, broadly, this role play. He already appears to them, for many of you, inside themselves, between their contradictory thoughts, their behavior sometimes opposite, the doubts, the anger or the fears that may also sign up and be revealed. But they inscribe, indelibly, the collective of humanity. You know, the beloved John, or Sri Aurobindo, spoke to them at length the humanity of shock. We mail it in your consciousness to the agenda, because wherever you are is what you play everywhere around as everywhere in you. That last fight of all against all, the battle of Gog and Magog is just an illusion more in which only His grace and emanated light of your heart, that you have received from above, from below, from everywhere during these years, will become larger and occupy, I would say, the collective consciousness of humanity. In parallel, the light, the highest heavens, descended to you. You will therefore have the right to live the two archetypes of confined worlds of good and evil, the principle Christic or Michaelico and the principle I named Luciferian or Aramaniano. Understand, effectively, the theater scene is, first of all, in you, before being manifested collectively everywhere. Retain simply that whatever your history and whatever the history of the confinement of this world, is a time in which forgiveness and love is the only real weapon and in which all the rest is just substitutes for freedom and struggles sterile maintaining, or try to maintain, confinement, which, you know, it is impossible at the collective level. Numerous markers have been communicated to them, whether through vibrations, whether through speeches or experiences. To support in them, to go through what each of you has to cross. Do not forget that the Luciferian principle, that has nothing to do with the Archangel Lucifer, but the name remained, Aramaniano, which I prefer, by far are fossilization life forces that seek to constrain the conscience in what I named in my time, the binary beast, the computer to transfer the printed consciousness in a biological body to an electronic body. This is the purpose of evil, as he believes exists, both in you and everywhere. It is a struggle that is unfolding, even without your knowledge, and retain the key is his heart, not opposing, not fighting, but in the holy sacrifice of all ephemeral earth. It is a time in which, to paraphrase Christ, I can say, seek the kingdom of God that is within you, because you are in this world, but they are not of this world and, moreover, you are not in any world, because apart what was named their stellar origins and their lineages, there are the one beyond the one, there is the zero or the absolute. Keep this in mind that some archetypes in agony phase on earth know perfectly the game, its pros and cons, to keep them in different and varied games. The heart of the heart has no need of any game or any experience, because it is the fullness of himself and all of the experiences of his own, which does not deprive any experience in which it is situated, in any address Father is. What I came to express today is to not let them abuse or misuse, by the circumstances of his person, his life or this world, of what you are in truth. What you are, in fact, you know that you have perhaps lived, cannot be referred to any story, other than a primary binary logic and good-bad, 0-1 or duality. Whatever your inner experiences of this period, he wants to seem them to progress or regress. Remember that there is no need for any progression or any regression, there just be what you are, in humility, simplicity and many concepts and words that have been given over the years and, more specifically, during those months drained. This is therefore an invitation in addition to the alert, to respect what you are in the heart. Whatever the experiences that have been given to live in the light or materiality, they had all, its utility to get them to this point need this fake story. And in addition to all appearance, as well as all suffering there is only one truth, and it does not depend on anyone, not history, nor archangels, nor us, elders, or stars, because you enter the final phase of the relationship. What is the relationship between you and you, what you believe, what you appear, and you, as you are, beyond all form and all history? Remember that in difficult times, both his and those of the earth, because in fact, there is nothing difficult beyond appearances, and just what can remain adherence to these appearances may cause suffering and resistance. I can only confirm that the heart is a childlike simplicity, which does not need to be coded with any knowledge or any experience today, more than ever, not on the scale of some realized beings, but on the scale of each. My words stop now. Although some of you have perhaps recognized me, this is meaningless, because the only real recognition is that of the heart and all the others are just linked to specific stories. So, here as elsewhere, I who are reading or listening to what I said, I welcome inside silence and beauty that you are. I thank you for your attention and for your presence. Silence. I will end by these few words. Of course, as embodied humans, you need to appoint. Then I will name, if you will, for these two letters SR, if I get back to you this way or otherwise. Do not be prisoners of past titles or names that we use, and each other. I apporto them my blessings. Silence. See you later.